Alright, so for the last thing that we want to do with this app is we want to have a lightbox feature. We want to be able to click on an image and have it show up in a lightbox. And there's just a ton of programs or plugins you can use for this. But one of the easiest ones that I've found is FancyBox. And if you go to fancybox.net, and you can download it right here, this link on the right. Let's just see what it gives you. License and download. Alright, so we'll save it to the desktop. And if we open that up, so this is what we get. And the folder that we want to be looking at is source. Alright, so these are pretty much all the files and folders that we want to integrate into our app. Alright, so if we open up our app and go to JavaScript, FancyBox, and this is where we want to put all our JavaScripts. Alright, so we got one here. Not all of them are mandatory, but we're going to grab the important ones. These two here, we'll throw in there, and then in the helpers folder we have some other ones. So let's just grab all these. Actually, the two CSS ones I'm going to take out. Let's cut those out, and we're going to put those into the CSS FancyBox folder. Alright, and in all these files in the helpers, these are optional, but for instance the buttons, we want to be able to have our arrow buttons to switch images, close buttons, things like that. And then in here we'll just grab this CSS file, put that in there as well. Actually, yeah, we'll put that in there. And then these images, you want to bring all those over to your images folder, or in your images folder is a FancyBox folder, and you can bring them all in there. You can see that I've already done it. I already have those in there. Alright, so let's open our app, and we just have a whole bunch of includes that we need to do right now. We need to include all those CSS files as well as the JavaScript files. And instead of typing them out, I'm just going to paste them. So right under the main CSS, we have these three CSS files that we're linking to. And actually I need to change the path a little bit because we have CSS / FancyBox / and then the file. And you don't have to create the FancyBox folder in your CSS folder. You can put them all right in there, but just the way that I like to organize things. And then down at the bottom, I'm going to paste a bunch of JavaScripts. Actually, I want them before my main JavaScript file. So right here. Alright. And to actually initiate the FancyBox, we need to add a little bit of code here. So we'll open up a script tag and we'll type in some inline JavaScript. All we need to do really is call FancyBox, and we can do that. We'll say document.ready function, and then we're just going to grab the FancyBox object. Oh, no, it's a class. And we're just going to say dot FancyBox. Alright, so that's all we have to do to initialize it. Let's go to our home page, and actually let's look at the console, make sure everything's coming up, make sure everything's connected. Looks like it is. So now we just need to create our links. Alright, so every list item, or actually every image, is going to have a link around it. Alright, so we want to say href and closing A tag. And then what we're going to put in here is we need a class. We'll say class is equal to FancyBox. Alright, so that's how it knows that this is going to be a FancyBox element. And we're going to say rel is going to be equal to group. Okay, so you can have multiple groups, but we're just going to use one, and we're going to call it group. And the href here is going to go to the image path, which we have right here. It's going to be the same as this. Okay, so I'm going to copy that, put that in there. Alright, so now I'm going to save it and we can go test it out. Alright, so you can see that this one is a link. Click on it, comes up. So it's working. The one thing that isn't working is the images. The UI images. We should have a close button and we should have some arrow buttons. And the only reason that it's not showing up is we don't have the paths correct in the CSS files. So let's go to inside CSS in FancyBox, and let's just open the first one, FancyBox buttons, and I'm just going to search for image, and that should take us to some of the images that are in here. Okay, so this is basically looking in the same directory for this PNG image. What we need to do is go back out, so // will bring us back out to the previous directory, and then we're going to go inside of the image folder and then inside the FancyBox folder. Alright, so that should be correct. So let's just copy this, the beginning of this path. Okay, and we'll go to the next image, which is right here. Actually, that one's correct, I believe. Yeah, that one looks good. Oh, that's that's the same one. There's only one in this file. Alright, so let's save that. Get out of that and go to the next one. Looks like there's no images in this one. Let's do this one. So this is where most of them are. So I'm just going to paste in that beginning of that path for all these images. Right here. Push that in. Alright, so that looks good. Let's save that and try it again. Alright. And I'm still not seeing the arrows. Huh. Let me make sure that that path is correct. Okay, so... Oh, you know what? This is happening because we're in the FancyBox directory, so we need to go out twice. Alright, let's try that. Let's try another ... See if that works. Save that. Go back to this other one. ... Oh. Alright, let's see if that works. Alright, so now that's working. You can see the X out button. So we can close that, and what we need to do is add these to the rest of the images here. Alright, so let's see. Let's get rid of this. And we need to get the A tag here. And we're just going to copy it. Okay, all the way up to the beginning of the image, and we're going to place these right before the image for all of these. Okay, there. And then we have to do the closing A tags as well. Alright, so now the ending A tags. Just copy that. Alright, save it, reload. Okay, so now we have the arrows because we have more than one image. You can see we just can scroll through them. Actually, they're all the same image because we didn't change the image link here. So that should be 2. It should always match this here. It's 4. And this is 5, 6, 7, and oh, that's 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This one didn't get a link, it looks like. Okay, and this one's 13. 13, this one's 14. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Alright. Alright, so now we can scroll through the different pictures. Alright, so we've built a really cool animation, animated navigation for a HTML5 photo gallery. Obviously you can add on to this. You could create a back end where you could upload pictures from there or whatever. There's a lot of different things you can do. These apps are made to be just kind of like a starting point, and if you want you can take them further. In the next, I believe, let me check 1 second. I believe in the next chapter we'll be looking at the HTML5 canvas functionality, and we'll actually create a snake game. If you've ever played Snake on those old school Nokia phones with the snake that you have to kind of don't touch the edges, you got to get the little piece of food or whatever. We're going to build one of those. So it's going to be pretty cool, and I will see you then. Thank you.